it should.
Okay.
So, all right. So let's see. I'm hitting all the buttons, and let's see if I see us on Facebook yet. I'm gonna hit refresh, and this is the funniest setting that. Yep, we're not there yet. Give it a second. It's waking up. It's getting it together.
It's a little time.
So, but I guarantee YouTube is just fine. YouTube behaves itself every single time.
Well,
And
it's a video streaming platform, so that makes sense.
it should. And we're on, let's see, I'm going to mute us over here. And we are on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is so like strict though. With LinkedIn, if you're like more than a few minutes late, it deletes the whole
Oh.
live.
Oh, wow.
So it gives you a very fine window to join. So I'm like, even if I'm not completely ready, I'm gonna hit the button so I don't have to reset
Yeah,
it again.
that's smart.
All right, so I will. All right, so we're on Facebook, even if we
Mhm.
are probably the only people that can see it. So if people eventually see this, that'll be great. And yeah, so all right. That being said, welcome to Entrepreneurs Unplugged. This is season 2, episode 5, and my name is Tanisha Stallnaker. I'm the CEO of SVS. So we are your go-to operations and system support agency, and I'm excited to have Cassie Hayes here today for a multitude of reasons, not just because she's our guest, but because she's one of the few guests that I've actually met in person. And we do a lot of the same things and we're in a lot of the same spaces. So this conversation should be lots of fun. But first, I want to give Cassie a chance to introduce herself.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I am Cassie Hayes. I'm the founder of the Premier OpSpot. We are kind of a boutique agency, and we help clients, mostly service providers, create simple, thoughtful systems that allow them to step away without everything falling apart and without losing the personal touch. So I'm a 4th generation small business owner. I grew up in a house where my dad was working all the time and like basically married to his business. So once I realized I was good at systems, I just thought, I know that there are so many small business owners out there who are wearing all the hats, and I would love to help them streamline so that they can actually be with their kids or their families or have a hobby and their business still be thriving. So
Imagine a hobby.
Mhm.
So, where are you joining us from?
So I'm in the Chicago suburbs. We're northwest Chicago suburbs, about 45 minutes from the city.
Nice. So, let's see. I always start with the same thing, and you picked how systems serve clients or serve our clients. Why did you pick that topic? Not like I don't already know.
Yeah. So I've found that a lot of the marketing that we're inundated with for different systems all has to do with, I'm going to save you so much time or implement this system and you're going to get your piece back and eliminate the headaches. And, you see all the like pictures of people pulling their hair out. And that is true. And I love systems. We have 4 kids. I worked a full-time job, had a side gig business that was running like 12K in sales a month, like all at the same time. So the only way I was able to do that was through systems. However, I think people don't realize, especially heart-centered entrepreneurs, we think often about taking care of our people, and we care about that so much that I think the messaging for systems is it's going to save you time and it's going to be a benefit. And I think a lot of heart-centered entrepreneurs actually feel like it's selfish. And I realized if you have good systems, it actually takes really good care of your people. And I think sometimes we don't think about that, or I think about it, but other people don't. And so I just wanted to talk about like why there's a value in setting up systems for our clients, not just to save us time, but actually, again, to take care of our people.
It's funny that you say that because while I don't necessarily use the phrase heart centered when I refer to myself, and anybody that knows me personally, I need you to stay out of this live and not chime in around this time. And I'm still playing with a couple little things. So excuse me as I look over. But, I always talk when I do talks about automation, everybody gets all rigid and sits up straight until I start to talk about how it makes it better, not just for them or their team, but it's better for their clients. And so I spend a lot of time talking about how systems, automation, integration helps to enhance your client experience. And then I go and I can give all of the nightmare experiences of how I've been in those scenarios, as I'm sure you have, where that did not happen. And clearly you could see like they either A, don't have them, or B, they don't pay any attention to them, which is like not having them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, this is going to be a great conversation.
So where would you like to begin?
Maybe we can just talk about a few examples. I think about the ones that I've, like you just said, personally experienced. So here's an example from real life. I can't remember what, maybe we had a plumbing issue, something to do with our house. So I'm looking for like a home service provider. I go in our neighborhood Facebook group. I get 3 different like recommendations. I go to 3 different websites. I fill out the contact form. One of the contact forms, I did not get any sort of confirmation that they received my inquiry. And so I was like, did I hit the submit button? Like, did they, maybe somebody will call me soon? Nothing, crickets, absolutely zero. So the message I received from that as a customer, right, is like you just said, either they're not on top of it, they don't care. Maybe they're so busy. Maybe they don't have a designated staff person to take care of these inquiries. But clearly, if they can't manage my one website form, I'm not going to trust them to fix something in my house, right? And I know sometimes that feels harsh because I do work with some creatives, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad business owner. So you probably have similar clientele where I sometimes come in to help people at the point where they're like, I feel like I want to quit. I'm not good at this. I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, no, you're so good at what you do. We just need to get like your back end stuff working in a way that serves you and feels good for you so that you can keep doing what you love and serving your clients. So contrast that with SafeLight Auto. We had they're so great, right? And I wasn't really anticipating this because I was like, whatever, they're probably just another like State Farm, or you see all the commercials. But we had to get the windshield replaced, and the whole process, they communicated so well every single step. They sent me a video that was like, here's what will happen on the day of your appointment. I was like, awesome. Now I feel prepared, like, do I need to get a sitter for my kid who was sick that day? Do I need a ride? Do I not need a ride? Like, they let me know everything that I needed to do to be taken care of, to know they were on top of it. I knew they had good systems sending me all these things. So that puts more trust in them. And just believing that if they're taking good care of me on this side of things, they're going to take care of my vehicle. Right. And they did. It was great. So yeah, it speaks volumes when the systems actually can go ahead of you. I am a really big fan. I used to work in the hospitality industry. So do you know Will Guidara?
I don't think so.
So his book, you would probably love it, is called Unreasonable Hospitality. And it's like he took my heart out of my body and like put it in a book. Like, it's all the things, the blend of systems, and then like basically client experience. Like, how do we go above and beyond to take care of people? And we can't do that if we don't have basic systems set up. So I just, after reading that book, started thinking like systems really do set the table, like metaphorically. They are the way that we say to our clients, we've prepared for you. I have thought ahead. I'm ready for you. Like, come on in. My door is open. So it's just the basis for that building of trust and for you to be able to get clients.
The other thing I always tell people, and I, even with my team, and I'm sure you've probably had similar conversations with the folks on your agency, I personally, and I find the same with the clients, I don't like surprises. And I don't mean like, I don't like if somebody walked in with a cupcake right now or whatever, I'm going to be mad. It's not that. But when I'm doing transactions or business with somebody and money is exchanging hands, I don't like surprises. And so I just assume it's the same way with their clients. I don't want to then pay an invoice to then find out that you're not going to be able to do the work for 3 weeks. Or, I want to work with you because I've heard that you do a good job. But then when it's time to get started, you're going to send me a form that I have to print out, manually fill out, scan back, mail you a check. I mean, short of, Pony Express, going back in time, it's going to cause me so much more work just to work with you or use you that it almost makes it not worth it, and I have people that, we did a quinceañera for Gabby in the summer, and it was the most short turnaround time. And so not only was I pressed for time, it's expensive, but also, it was really one of those things where it was like a yes or no when I was looking at vendors. when I had some people that were like, oh, hey, text me sometimes that you're available, automatically no. And it was like, hey, let me email you this form. And I'm like, how am I supposed to fill this out? And they're like, print it out. Also no. Beat me. I'm like, hey, can I send you a link to try out some software? I mean, here's some suggestions, take it or leave it. But it was one of those things where it was like, if this is going to cause me more work, I just don't have the time or the space to do it. And I think when we look at those ads for systems with people pulling their hair out and all of that stuff, they also talk about how it saves the business owner time. It doesn't talk about the client experience. It doesn't talk about is saving you time, making it 10 times harder for your team members, because, I'm pretty sure you're probably the same way that client experience is an ebb and flow. Yes, it's our external client. It's our internal client, which are our employees or our contractors or whatever. It's ourselves. It's so many different points to that. And I think because of the use of the word systems, people tend to assume that it takes that humanity out of it, and that, it's so hands off from people, that it's going to feel robotic. And SafeLight is a good example, because it's like, it was so easy, and it's been years since I've needed a knock on something. But, when I have people that have like a crack and they're like, oh, they call this person, and I'm like, why aren't you using SafeLight? Because that's like the easiest experience I've ever had with something like that. The fact that they'll come to you and figure out where you are is already easy, but the app and everything, the process is really seamless. I think another good example that people reference, especially, I don't know if in hospitality, but I know just in customer service, Nordstrom, Chick-fil-A in general, like, when you go to those places, customer service 9 times out of 10 is never really going to be an issue, because they embedded so much in their culture. And part of it still is their system of how to get a customer or client from point A to point B. If I go to a Chick-fil-A and I don't hear my pleasure, I'm like, are y'all, did something change? Is that really good? Yeah. But it's that same thing that you go to those places repeatedly, because not just because you might like the food or whatever, but the experience is going to be, continuous, repeatable, and pleasant.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I think about like Cooper's Hawk too. I don't know if you guys have a Cooper's Hawk by you, but that's one of the places that my husband and I will go all the time, because it's like, it doesn't matter which location. Now we have 2, like one on either side of us. It doesn't matter which one we go to. We know we're going to get a good experience. We know that we're going to be able to sit and enjoy ourselves and not be rushed out the door. The food is always so good, but they just take good care of you and anticipate your needs. Right. So, okay, I have to tell you a funny story, because you're talking about like forms and paper forms. So one of the places that's really special to our family, again, is like 4th generation small business owners. My mom grew up on the East Coast, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and they would vacation on Long Beach Island, New Jersey. And my great grandma had a store there, like a convenience store. And anyway, so in the past couple decades, the island has been getting bought out by people that are knocking down all the little Cape Cods and building up, more modern beach homes, which like drives my mom and my grandma nuts. But the one house that my sister has rented the past few years with her family is like a, 2 levels. They get the top, and usually there's someone else on the bottom. Well, this year we were like, we should just rent the bottom. And then we're like in the same house all together. Awesome. But the family has been like owned it forever and not really updated it, which is great, because that means the price is a little lower right on the beach. But I kid you not, I had to like send a check in the mail with like a sticky note that was like, this is for this weekend, and here's my address so you can send me the lease, I guess. Like, there was no way for me to put an inquiry online, or, I mean, we had their email because my sister gave it to me, but my husband was like, hang on, you sent it just a check in the mail? And I'm like, I don't know, babe, this is how they do it. Like, if you want the house, we got to do it. But to the point of, on the other side, right, as the client, I am a systems person. So normally I can anticipate like what's going to happen, even if I am the customer, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, I was like, oh, shoot, I don't know what I need to include in here. I guess I'll just put my address. And so I think what people don't think about is all the back and forth that causes, and how much stress and anxiety. Like you talked about, if someone had a paper form, like print it and fill it out, that'd be a no for me too.
Yeah.
Scheduling, I have terrible scheduling anxiety, which sounds crazy because I am a systems person, but I'm like, the number of times that I have even gone back and forth with like friends just to get brunch on the calendar, I'm like, that massively stresses me out. So I have like links for everything. Like friends, local friends that want to get coffee with me, I'm like, here's my link. Like it's set up to like know to bump things out of the way.
I can't wait to send my friends a link so they can talk just straight trash about me, but it'll be comical.
I'm like, I just can't. All the back and forth is like terrible. So I think it's just that idea of, you were alluding to this, like if you set, as the business owner, set up a form that collects everything that's needed for you to take care of that client, they don't have to think about it. They just have to fill out the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then again, you're not going back and forth 10 times over email. I just think there's so much value in that. I worked in ministry operations for like 7.5 years, and it was for a mega church. So just think like we had anywhere between 70 and 90 like stipend pastors, which were like hundreds of small groups and like thousands of congregants that we were supporting. Wow. And on that team, I kind of told our director, like, I think we need some values, because we're in meetings sometimes and everyone has good ideas, but we're not like on the same page about what we're actually trying to accomplish and how we're going to do it. So we did a whole team day on building our values. And one of them that popped up was people over process, which as a process person, I was like, oh my gosh. But what it actually meant, it wasn't like we didn't have processes. What it actually meant was our processes were so good that if people came in outside, like past a deadline or had a special circumstance, we could be like, no problem. We can accommodate you, because all the other hundreds of people we just helped are in the system already and it's running smoothly. Yeah. So to your point about like people think that systems are robotic, my philosophy is actually the complete opposite. I think systems allow us to actually have all the things we can automate, let's do it. That way our brain power and our hearts can be like focused on people and taking care of them, instead of, oh my gosh, I have to click 5 times to send this proposal. I have to start an email from scratch every single time. I forgot that I had to ask for 5 things instead of 4 things. You know what I mean? Like, we just need to free up our brain space to have relational capacity, because we only have so much because we're humans.
Well, and if you're like me and menopausal and tired and running 62 different directions, I always tell people like, systems, they make it easy to do business, ideally. Mm-hmm. And I have to put that ideally on it, because there are some people that over system because they're trying to, and I've done it, I'm sure you probably have too, where it's like, all right, I think I've gone too far here. Like I've now stressed myself right back out because I got 62 different ways to schedule a call. But, I think that I always tell people, let their systems help protect you from you. Mm-hmm. And all of us, we're all humans. We all have our weak spots, and remembering things is mine. And so that whole thing of scheduling, I always tell people, if you don't see me pull my phone out, and I tell my clients, if you don't see a red dot recording something that we've said, you should wave a flag quickly, because if I don't pull my phone out, I'm not going to be there. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to be there. Right. And if you don't see that red dot, and you ask me the next day, what did we talk about? I might be good to remember that we talked. Like it took me a while to get that kind of like, right. We talked today, So, I always tell people like, listen, I'm being very honest. I have systems in place to protect both of us from this brain that does its own thing. So like, just understand everything is going to be recorded. If we're in person and we're making plans and that phone does not come out, you should email me or something, because it's not going to happen. Even my husband, he's like, hey, we're going to do this. I'm like, can you email me or text it to me? He's like, I'm telling you, sir, come on. Yeah.
You know me. How long have we been married?
Don't even use that phrase. I'm telling you, because it's not going to happen. It's right. But, I always tell people, at the very least, if systems or the idea of it overwhelms you, I always put it into a couple of categories. Make it easy for someone to pay you. Mm-hmm. And I just wrong finger, I just broke a nail. Make it easy for someone to pay. I'm like, oh, not this stubby one. Make it easy for somebody to pay you, which means it's easier to get paid. Make it easier for someone to sign a contract, thus making it easier to get a contract signed, and make it easier for somebody to get on your calendar. If you at least can do those three things, you've already gone leaps and bounds above lots of other small businesses.
Yeah.
And some larger businesses, and then in a perfect world, you'd have something to let them know how this process is going to go. But if you don't have that yet, at least have those things, because, I've had clients that their clients mailed them checks and they provided coaching. And I'm like, how do you know when to start a session? Are you doing the session before the check comes? Or is it after the check clears? Because if that's the case, I might have mailed the check on Tuesday. We don't get started for 2 weeks, and because the check has to clear. Like,
right.
That right there, I wouldn't even be able to be in business if I had to wait for a check. But for her, that just made sense. And her clients did it. I had somebody that I met who put contracts in people's mailbox, and they would take the stuff and they would drop it off and stick it in their mailbox. And I was like, so a couple things. One, not only is that like blaringly inconsistent and like just not efficient, it's also illegal.
I was gonna say
there's that part. Like, like, let me protect you from yourself legally.
Right.
Like, let's get out of people's mailboxes. That is not the case. But even in 2025, there are still a lot of small business owners that are just so, and we have a lot of them as clients where they're like, tech, and I'm like, we're not building robots here. Like, you turned the computer on and got on Zoom for this call. You can handle anything that we put in on you, because we're not telling you to take your computer apart and put it back together. We're not going that deep. So let's, take a breath.
You can do it. Yes, totally.
But, I just think that you and I serve a purpose, in that I love the fact that neither one of us is looking at like everybody is a robot and a thing, versus taking the thing that you do in your business that you're passionate about and allowing systems to let you focus on that instead of the other stuff.
Yes. And I think there are business models out there that remove you from the like human component. And some people like that. And that's great. I think I would die. Like, I'm an ambivert, but I love my people. Like, not having human interaction at all, I feel would be terrible. I mean, there's stats about loneliness right now. And so I just don't think that's good for us personally, but I guess the science also says that. But anyway, I digress. The way that we met was at the Honeybook Partner Summit in 2023, which is super fun. And when I talk about this and everything that you just said, I remind people, I often say the same things you do, right? Like, in Honeybook, the reason it's awesome is because you've got your invoice and your contract and your scheduler like all in one little spot. And you just update it in one spot. I think the other thing that people don't realize, and this was one of the things that I fixed when I came into the church, is they had multiple sources of truth all over the place. And so when we would go to place coffee orders for hundreds of people across 3 different services every weekend, we had a high rate of error because we had too many sources of truth, right? So I was able to find a system that was like, we have one source of truth now, and we're sharing this, and we have one contact person that meets with that, ministry that provides the coffee. And so the level of error went down, but also our relationships and relational equity with those partner ministries went through the roof, because we were able to problem solve, and we weren't like the thorn in their side being like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, the order was wrong, can we fix it now? And they're trying to do and serve the people on Sunday instead of having the order correct on Tuesday earlier the week, right? But I think with Honeybook, I always tell people, again, we sometimes think the systems are for us, but think about the client experience. If you were the client and you got an email that was like, click here to sign the contract, you go to one tab. Click here to pay the invoice, separate system. Click here to schedule, separate system. And that is a lot of work to ask the client to do. But again, to your point about like, when does the session start if you're doing a check and you have to wait for it to clear? What I love about systems, I guess it's what you said. I love how you phrased it. Like, the systems protect us from ourselves.
Yeah.
it enables us to have more peace because we have less hard conversations. Because if our system sets the boundaries for us and says, well, as soon as you pay, you'll get the link to schedule. Now we don't have to have an awkward conversation. Hey, I know you signed the contract. I saw you booked your call, but you're going to have to pay the deposit before the call. That's my policy. That's so awkward. And why would we? I have learned how to be good at difficult conversations. Don't get me wrong. It's a very important skill to have. However, if we can avoid them for like unnecessarily, let's do that. Then again, our energy can go towards like actual important hard conversations instead of ones that we could have avoided, right? So, yeah.
I think, you know, so funny enough, you mentioned HoneyBook, which we're both HoneyBook pros. Do you only work with HoneyBook right now?
It's kind of 50-50. I have another branch of my business that I don't really market. That's just kind of word of mouth and people know what I do and I will help them with certain things if it's a good fit.
Because with SVS, we don't just do HoneyBook. And, you know, I've had some people say, oh, well, you know, if I came to you, you're only going to ever recommend HoneyBook. And I'm like, actually, that's not the case. And they're like, well, you're only going to recommend this. I was like, there's platforms, HoneyBook and a few others, I get paid by referring people to that platform. But if it doesn't make sense for you, I'm not going to refer you to that platform.
Right.
It's not whatever money I'm going to get for being an affiliate is nothing compared to the headache that I'm about to give you by forcing you to have it. Yes. And then you're going to complain and then we're going to have to start over or you're going to not want to work with us. The end result of that is just not worth forcing you, you know, into this little box. But I'm like, at the same time though, you know, it doesn't mean that the tool isn't good. It just is a matter of what tool makes most sense. I had somebody that was referred, which I love referrals. Referrals are, but the person that referred them is a consultant. We set up HoneyBook for that consultant and it's been great for their business. But they referred someone who owns a salon and said, hey, Tanisha's team did this for me and this has been amazing. You should have it too. So he came to me and he was like, I want HoneyBook. And I was like,
why?
How come? And he's like, well, because they told me to use it. And I was like, they told you to use it? Okay. And what do you do? Oh, I want a salon. That's what I thought. So I could set it up. But in like a week and a half, you're going to be miserable because it's not. How many stylists do you have? He's like 23. It's like, no. You got these options over here and we can set it up, but like this is better. And he was like, but they told me HoneyBook. And I was like, okay. So a couple things, respectfully and with love. And I would say this to them as well. They know this is their area. Systems and things is my area. And I would do you a disservice to allow you, while I appreciate the referral, I have to be honest that this is not the tool for you. And I could show you why. And even with that, you know, he was so frustrated that I diverted from the path that he thought it was going to be. And so, you know, with him, I was like, and I've had a few clients like that or referrals that are like that, where it's like, they told me you set this up and I wanted to. And it's like, no. And I know you're going to pay me for it. And that's great. And still no.
Yeah.
But even with that, I've just kind of learned that there's some systems for those people too, where I'm now telling you something that is completely gone against what you thought you were walking in this door to get. And now you're frustrated. So let me just continue to share some information until you can see what I'm trying to get you to see. You know, so sometimes the system is the no, but having something that still gives them, I don't know, like, I don't mind telling somebody no.
Yeah.
At all. And it's not even that difficult, but I try to give you a no with a however.
Yes.
You know, and there's some systems that there's the no however path. Even if it's no, we are not your people, because now, and behind the scenes I might be, because I didn't enjoy talking to you. You know, but I'm very upfront. Like my discovery call is a fit call. I'm like, I want to see, do I enjoy this 20 minutes of talking to you? Because if it could drive me crazy in 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It's not going to work. So I'm
Yeah.
just going to tell you,
Yeah.
and then we got 90 minutes of a paid call. And if that 90-minute call made me want to scratch my eyes out, we're really not going to work. So you're not even going to get to anything else. But I have to have those pathways and that the system for the when that happens and that comes, how am I going to handle it and what direction am I going to point them in? Because I don't want to say, hey, you're not great for us. But your business seems cool. So how about this?
Right. Yeah.
Like, how about, hey, Cassie might be great for you,
Right.
or whatever. Like I try to have some referral systems in place where it's like, so we're not going to work out, but
yeah,
this
totally
is going to be great for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. And I think it's working with people and having those filters and values. And I think, I mean, this wasn't going to be a plug for like hiring a systems expert, but I do think that's one of the things that people get analysis paralysis about. I'm sure like you've experienced this as well, is people are like, I know I need a system, but there are so many options out there and I don't even know where to start. I don't know what the right one is for me. So when I first started, I was using HoneyBook in my business, but I was setting up different systems for different clients. And same thing. I'm like, I won't tell people HoneyBook is the right thing for them if it's not. I had a client, I don't know, a lead a few weeks ago. And I was just like, can I just shoot it to you straight? I was like, I don't think this is right for you. Like with your business, I just don't think it will be a good fit. Like you have other things going on. And he already had a system that he had to use because he's a franchise model, So I was like, this is just going to be adding additional things that I don't think it's going to accomplish what you need for the price, right? Like if you paid for it, you'd be using like 15% of its capacity, and it's probably not worth the price tag at that point. So it's important to just know what your values are going in. I always tell people before you even start looking at tools, you can listen to recommendations from friends like that guy did, but make sure you actually set aside some thinking time to write down like what are your top things that you absolutely have to have? Like what are those requirements for you? And maybe that is the pain point, right? Maybe it's like I have so many invoices that are past due because I don't have a good payment system in place. Well, then tackle that first and make sure that's like top of your list.
Yeah.
And then when you're going to look at all the different tools and their pricing pages and their features, you can have a like filter on. It's like wearing a pair of glasses and it's like, does this actually fit what I need or not? And it makes it so much easier to exclude the tools that are not going to give you what you want. But it is a discipline because you have to, I mean, I've done the same thing. I'm like, nope, that's not what I need right now. Reminder.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny. I always tell clients, I was like, I'm just going to be very honest. And I was going to say sadly, but it's not really, there's a method to my madness. I was like, we are the epitome of do what we say, but not what we do. Because I'm always trying to, in my audit, my goal is to, one, have a solution that feels good to you by the end of that call, but also save you the investment of that call in that 90 minutes to find a way to save you money, whether it's because you're paying for this many things or you're paying for this many hours of people time to get a thing done that can be automated or whatever it is that comes out of it. Because when I do talks, one of the number one questions that I hear people ask, and I see it online, and when I hear it, it's easy for me to address it. People are like, what's the best system for me? I'm a chef and I have a restaurant. What's the best system? What's the best system for me here? And my answer is the same. The best system is the one you're actually going to use.
Yes.
It doesn't matter to me if your system is Excel spreadsheets that are zapped to something over here. Now, while that might make my skin itch, if you're happy with it and it's working for you, then that's your perfect system. And so it is not my job to tell you what the perfect system is. And if I just blurted something out, I am doing you a disservice. I'm going to say it right now to whoever watches this replay or whatever. My biggest pet peeve is when I'm in any Facebook group or any online group and somebody says, I need a CRM or I need something to build my website or I need something for this. What should I use? And everybody just word vomiting the thing that they use.
Yes.
Whereas here I come now saying, what kind of business do you have? How many people are going to be touching this? What are the things that you needed to do? You know, and of course now people are looking at me like, what's wrong with you? It's this. And I'm like, we don't know that it's this. I don't
Right.
even know what this person does. So I can't answer this question based on like a Facebook post or a social
Right.
media post. And so I'm like, I want so bad to scream like, you guys are not helping. You think you're being helpful, but you're not, because sometimes the thing you just recommended is 16 times bigger than what this person needs.
Right.
You know, I'm always like, if you're not going to use at least 50% of the features, go get something else. Because even if it costs, like HoneyBook, I'll be honest, I did it because it was $1 when it.
I did that too.
I was like,
It's $1 a month special.
Just play with it, you know.
Totally.
I'll play with it for 8 months and then I spent $8, you know.
Yes, totally.
But it was just one of those things where it's like, if it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit. But then you have those people where that analysis paralysis is now 10 times bigger because you've just thrown all these things at them, thus overwhelming them more.
Yes.
And, you know, you mean well. I would assume in most cases people mean well,
Yeah.
but just because this thing works for you does not mean it is going to work for your friend or somebody that's in a group that you don't even really know what they do either.
Right. Yeah.
You know, each year we test a different platform. We still have HoneyBook, but every year it's my goal to test a different platform. So like one year we did HubSpot. We just ended that one. We did High Level. We did Keep. I feel like we did something else. So each year we're trying something out because this way I want to be able to tell you in real life,
right,
what my experience was based on these are the things that I needed it to do, you know. And it also is helpful when people come to me and they're like, I'm using this and I'm having this trouble, you know, and I can then be able to say with actual experience, well, this is what I found. This is what this team member found. This is what we liked. This is what worked. This is what made it easier, you know, because I want to be able to give that real experience. So like I said, do what we say, no, we do, because I also spend like $1,000 a month in platforms and software because we're constantly testing things out.
Right.
Don't be like me.
Yeah. But I mean, that's you honing your craft, though. That's a little different than.
Like I said, there's a method to the madness, but it is a bit of madness from time to time where,
I bet,
you know, I do have to even rein myself in from like, oh, is that a new thing?
Yeah.
You know, should I try that new thing? Like, no, let's not.
I feel like HoneyBook is like updating things so quickly that it's even hard, I think, for us, like as pros to keep up sometimes, which is great because I mean, I can't complain about the updates they're making, but it is a lot. One of the other filters that I'll use with people when helping them decide, like if HoneyBook's the right tool or if they need something else, is again going back to like that client experience and thinking about like who are their clients, right? So I have one recurring client who's a friend as well, and she works primarily with like government entities. And so HoneyBook is not a good tool for her. Number one, the name, like for everybody else, it's fine. But she's in rooms with, you know, the mayor of Chicago and different things like that. And the bid process for that type of work is completely different, right? In the online space, I think our coaching is often, well, you're the business owner and you set the process and they have to sign your contract. And I'm like,
that way.
If that's what you're doing and you're a one-man show, or in certain instances, yes, that's true. But if you're working with larger clients or government municipalities, like they have the processes and systems that you have to follow. Otherwise, you can't get in the door. So, you know, I think, again, if you're considering what systems to use, be thinking about who your clients are. Now, like you said, you had that one lady who's like, let's maybe not put contracts in people's mailboxes illegally, but if you're serving an older clientele, perhaps maybe check is the best thing because, you know, they're overwhelmed by the tech and they can't figure out how to sign a contract online. So it is thinking through that as a filter as well. But yeah, just making sure that you're not just going with the first thing that pops up on your screen or the one that got the most votes in the Facebook group.
Yes. It's like, well, it's funny because I have a love, not hate, but a love cringe reaction to High Level. not because I think there's anything wrong with the platform, but then I'm like, this person just needed something to do an invoice and sign a contract electronically. How did you manage to refer them to that tool of all
Yeah,
things? Like, yes,
I
it can
know.
do those things, but it does 62,000 other things that this person does not need. And
Right.
they were very clear in what they needed it to do. And here we go. But I see it so much in groups, and I get it because it's popular. Also, you
Mhm.
can get some affiliate fees and things like that without a whole lot of
Mhm.
setup and everything. And I'm like, just could we please slow down? Just,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Do you have a process you walk your clients through? Because I had my own internal process and I like
Mhm.
dumped it into ChatGPT. I was like, make this into a framework. And it's like made two different ones that are helpful for me. My coach is like, your people are already overwhelmed. They're going to hate that. Like don't give them a homework assignment. I was like, okay, fine.
I know. So I didn't realize that I had a process or framework until someone else called it out.
Mm,
To the point where they were like, you are not doing yourself a service because there are things you could be charging for that you're not.
mm,
I didn't realize that I naturally audit people in the call. So there was that point where in the beginning, like 6 years ago, where it was supposed to be a 20-minute discovery call, and then you send over a proposal, and then you do this work, and then you offboard them, and then you go off to the next person. That never worked. It never worked the way that it was like taught to me. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. First off, our 20-minute calls are like an hour and a half. I don't know why they're always an hour and a half. And then I send the proposal. People have loads of questions back. I have to tweak the proposal, send it back to them. Then they sign it. And now we get started working. And now we realize that this wasn't the right choice, or this is broken. So we can't even focus on this because this is wrong over here. And so I ended up kind of taking some of that and tweaking it. So now the process is pretty streamlined to the point where it's been consistent for 2.5 years. And while I'll make small tweaks, I don't have to tweak it too much because it hasn't not worked.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I do the 20-minute call. It's intentionally a fit call. I'm very quick to explain why that is. And I keep it at 20 minutes. I'm like, we're not digging into anything in this. This is literally, now that we see each other, are we like, or are we
Yeah.
best friends in 5 minutes? Like, do I want to
Yeah.
hug your face in 5 minutes?
You want to hug my face,
Yeah,
Tanisha?
come on. So, but I'm just like, I can get some energy out of this. And so, but at the end of that, I'm going to explain, or before that, I'm like, hey, let me explain my process to you. It's this, this, and this, and at each stage, I'm going to get your buy-in to move to the next stage. So at the end of that 20 minutes, I'm saying, hey, the next thing is a paid audit. It's 90 minutes. It's $750. It's essentially the down payment to any package that you might buy, as long as the package is this amount or more. It's on the website. So there should be no surprise
Right.
if you did any digging into me or the business. It's all the places and all the things that you would have touched. So now it's like, yes, I want to book that call. I know that person's super serious because in many cases, I'm sending them the link while we're still on that 20-minute call. And in most cases, they've booked it before we even hung up. So I
Yeah.
know they're serious about moving forward. But they have a little questionnaire, not a big one, because I personally am not a huge fan of too many questionnaires. I absolutely can't be trusted with homework because I'm going to forget all about it. So I just assume that everybody else's brain is as broken as mine. So we're going to focus on all the stuff during the 90 minutes. I explained to them the first half, you are walking me through your process. Sometimes we find there really wasn't one. It's kind of winging it. But we then start to talk through, okay, so where do things typically break down the way you're doing it now? Are you chasing money? Are you chasing contract signatures? Are you chasing all the work? Are you doing great on that? But then when it's time to do the work, now the tears start like, so
Yeah.
I'm looking through the lead process, the onboarding process, delivery, and then offboarding. And then I take that 45 minutes and I've asked the questions about 6 different ways to really understand it. And now the second half is me showing you some alternatives to what you're doing. The plus to me having a gajillion systems is that I can now show you in real life what Dubsado looks like. I can show you in real life what Honeybook looks like. I can show you what HubSpot looks like. I can show you what all these different things look like. And I'm looking for your reaction. because sometimes I open the screen and they're like,
yeah,
too much. I was like, perfect. Let's move on to this next one. It's just like we build project management. If I open ClickUp and you're like sparks flying out, I'm like, okay, let's look at Asana, or let's look at Trello. Let's look at something else, to where I'm looking for your reaction to not be that.
Yes, totally.
Because I've had it where people are like, my head hurts.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, that's not what we want. But then by the end of that 90 minutes, I'm now saying, I have what I need to put something together. Are you comfortable with that? This is what I think makes the most sense based on what we just talked about. Or, hey, I'm pretty sure this is what I think, but let me do a little digging, because I might have some clients that need HIPAA things or something that's
exactly
usual. But I'm then saying, can I get a proposal together for you? It'll come to you by this time. They'll say yes. I put the proposal together, make sure I didn't miss anything, but I always send a video with the proposal. That has been the other thing that's really helped, because that video, I'm explaining it, but I'm also reverting back to what we talked about. So that way it's not a surprise of, what do you mean I need branding for my website? What do you need?
Right.
I need this. We've already talked about it. We've filled in all the holes verbally. I'm just reiterating it, and it's now put together in a package. It's also clearly explaining to you the pain points you mentioned, how we're addressing each pain point. This is what's getting built. This is the timeline. This is the cost. For me, I use Honeybook and Dubsado now, because if somebody needs to use Klarna or Affirm, I'm going to have them sign their contract in Dubsado, because that feature is available. If they don't necessarily need that, but they still want to pick some payment arrangements, I'm going to send them the contract through Honeybook. And so that's the difference of which path somebody goes down, but that's typically the process. And then there's onboarding call. But again, they can book all of that stuff. They can sign their contract. They can pay their invoice. It's still meant to be where they can do all of those things in 4 minutes or less, provided they don't have a question. They don't have a question or a pushback.
Yeah. And I'm curious, like, people watching this, I think the feeling that you get when you hear an expert talk about their process, like, you have built it out so well, that the other thing that speaks is, I think the reason it builds confidence is because you couldn't have done that if you didn't have experience doing it the wrong way and the right way, and tweaking and making it better. Right. And like, when you are able to communicate that from the beginning of the first time you talk with a person, it's like, I have done this, and let me guide you. Right. I mean, coaches talk about that all the time, that the client should be the hero and we're just the guide. Right. It's that whole story brand type thing. But I think that's true in this scenario as well. Like, as a business owner, you have to tell your people what to do to hire you, right? I mean, that's just good sales too. A confused mind doesn't buy. So if you're like, well, I don't know, what do you want? Well, that's not going to be helpful. They don't know what they want. That's why they're asking you for help, So yeah, it's good.
Well, it's funny. A confused mind doesn't buy, but a super confused mind also does not make a very pleasant client. I'm just going to say it.
That's true.
Because for like us that are in this business, because we're results driven, and we want to see you be in a better situation after working with us, I've learned it from not doing it correctly, vetting those super people that are really confused to where they're going to just be stuck for a long time. I do have a pathway for those people now, where I do occasionally offer one-to-one stuff, where it's like, you know what, we're going to work together one-to-one before I even put the team on you, because putting more humans in your face is actually going to like just throw your whole business is going to be thrown away, And so being able to have it where we're working through what put us in this confused place, what put us in this place that no matter what, we can't make a choice, because it's not going to help you in the long run. It's not going to help the team. Everybody's going to be frustrated. So let's go over this corner. We're going to work this out first. And not everybody that does systems is going to offer that, but it's been a joke for these years, I'm just an accidental coach, but I'm not patient enough to truly just be a coach. There's the consulting of, I already know you need to go left. Why should I let you go right 15 different ways to then figure out you need to go? I'm going to just, hey, go left.
Right.
Based on this, right? Makes no sense for you. Let's just, come on, let's go left. Let me hold your hand. We're going together.
Right. Yeah, totally.
So there's a little bit of therapy it seems sometimes involved, but how about you? What's been your go-to process after not.
So, I mean, since we have focused on HoneyBook, I will say it was very difficult to feel like niching down that way was comfortable or safe at all, because I'm coming from a place where I was working with all the different operations,
Mhm.
right? HR, IT, accounting, the events team. And so having all that knowledge, again, to your point, I make better decisions for my own business, for my own life, and for my clients when I have a bird's eye view of
Yeah.
all the things that are going on, right? Because when you're in systems, you can't just like tweak a little thing over here and think that it's not going to affect all the other stuff.
Yep.
And so I think that's really important. But this season of life for us, since we have 4 kids and 3 of them are teenagers, and my husband's working a different job where he's got stricter hours now, I just needed to like, we're going to narrow for a little while. And that's kind of where the business is going. And so yeah, it's very similar. I mean, I'll do a free consult with people. I think the benefit of being a HoneyBook Pro, I've noticed that by the time people get to that point, they're already ready. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They're just kind of maybe checking out a few different people. And like you said, they're just trying to decide if it's a good fit. So I'll just talk to them about, I know most of the HoneyBook pros. We're all
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So you'll be in good hands no matter what. But if you're
Mhm.
trying to decide, like, here are the things that make us different, I think just based on the clients that we've worked with before, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll do a free call. And then most of the time I'm just asking questions on that call. I tell people the goal is for me to find out what your biggest pain points are, for us to know if it's a good fit on both sides. And then if we do think that and we agree, then I'll share what our packages are. And I'll usually make sure that I ask them enough questions to say, we have a VIP day option, which is basically done with you. Because I was having a lot of people come to me after not hiring a pro and hiring someone else to set it up. And they were like, it's broken, it doesn't work, and I don't know how to fix it. And that's bad. And I was like, I agree. I'm so proud of you. You should know how to work your own business. So let's teach you how to do that. Or are you just at a spot where you're like, I'm comfortable enough with HoneyBook. I am paying for speed, right?
Yeah.
And not to have to do it myself. And so those are really the 2 options that we're offering right now. But we are finding a lot of clients, we move into a phase 2, which I do really love because we're able to dig deeper with them. And again, now that HoneyBook's added more features, it's like we can actually build.
Mhm.
We used to only build, I always say HoneyBook is not marketing. It's not a marketing tool. It starts when people are like, I would like to know what it's like to work with you, right? So like a hot lead, it starts there through the sales process, onboarding. There's a little bit of a pause when there's project management and delivery. Sometimes that has to happen outside the tool, and then it can come back for the offboarding.
Yep.
And so yeah, but now with some clients, I'm like, actually, their process is simple enough, and the way that they have it set up is we actually can build that like project management delivery side inside HoneyBook
Yep.
because it works for their business, and that's great. So it's kind of fun to be able to go deeper with people in a phase 2 instead of just build simple. As much
Yeah.
as I love simple, but sometimes businesses aren't simple.
I don't typically find them to be simple. Um, and in some ways that's fine because I like a challenge,
Yeah.
and my team, most of them tend to go along with it. I don't know that they would have themselves picked the biggest challenge that I picked, but it's like, you need this, this, and this that we've never touched. Let's do it. The team's like,
Yeah.
okay, yay. I was like, hey, we get to say we know how to do this now.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
good.
the team has been pretty good. It's like, in the future, can we like have a meeting before we agree to do things?
Mm,
It doesn't happen very often, but every so often it's like, oh, that's how that works back there. Okay, mental note. Well, maybe
yeah.
we'll pause before we offer that one again. But
Yeah, it's good.
so maybe we've been talking about this for a minute. I
Mhm.
appreciate you joining me today. I know you're super busy and you're getting ready for a retreat.
Mhm.
So I look forward to hearing how that goes.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you want to share? Is there anything going on? Do you have like an offer or anything that you want to share with everyone?
Yeah, so I do have a free HoneyBook Facebook group. So it's called HoneyBook Made Simple. And I'm just loving spending time in there. I am in coaches and different communities. Most of them I feel like are going off of Facebook, but my primary place that I like hang out for business is Facebook. And so it's just easy. It's in that spot. So if you're on Facebook and you want to come join us over there, feel free. I do have a free resource. It's the top 10 automations that you can set up. And it is, I say it's like CRM neutral. So you could probably pop it into whatever CRM you're using, but obviously we use HoneyBook. And so you can for sure do all of those things in HoneyBook. Yeah. And then in the Facebook group, I'm kind of excited. We're doing a series where we're going to start bringing in kind of HoneyBook adjacent experts. So if you're a HoneyBook person, we're going to be bringing in a copywriter to talk about how you can write your email templates in there to help your sales process and your conversions go up. We're going to bring in a lawyer to talk about like the most important clauses to have in your contract and then how you can get those into HoneyBook. We're going to have a bookkeeper because we do have that integration with QuickBooks. And so we're going to talk about how to make the most of that. And there's probably going to be some additional ones, but those are the 3 we've got on the books right now. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Thank you. Let me know if you ever need somebody that wants to come and talk about zaps.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We should do that.
So
we should.
I realized accidentally that I have a love for zaps that a lot of people don't have. But I was like, anytime I forget to do something, I'm like, let me see if there's a zap for this.
Yes, I know, totally.
So most of my zaps are built just to protect my brain from myself. Mm-hmm. And recently I realized that I need to reconfigure it because my brain is shifted. And so the zap has to shift with me. But I was like, I just needed to like take this out of my brain. So
yes.
I'm constantly testing the limits of what it can do or sending requests like, hey, could you guys make it do this? So those are your offers that are super excited. If you want to share some links with me, I will make sure to put it in the comments for everybody. I'm excited because we are finally getting into the business adulting side of things. People are now going to see more consistent emails. I've written a couple. It's only taken 6.5 years. But we are launching a template library. So for people that might not be ready to hire a full agency for some of the things they need, and we're starting with HoneyBook templates, we will eventually have some website templates and things like that as well. We wanted to still be able to offer some support outside of them not being able to hire or get some of the best of us without having to pay for an agency. The other thing that we are launching is a membership. It is paid quarterly, but you get monthly support. And so that is super intentional, again, for either past clients that don't need to keep rehiring the agency to do all the things versus just being able to grab somebody on the team and get, especially things like, HoneyBook updates, or Dubsado is about to have a humongous update coming up in the next month and a half. So those people are going to have to readjust, similar to when HoneyBook switched over from legacy to smart files. It's going to be that big of a change. And so we wanted to be able to be available for those quick things. And so it'll be launching on Black Friday, but we are going to do some ads and things like that. We're starting the wait list and opening that in the next couple of days. And so it's the system support hub. So I'm super excited because not only is it going to be where people have access to me to answer questions, but also people on my team coming in and being the expert for certain sessions as well. So we're super excited about it. And I can't wait to share more. If you are not following us on YouTube, please do so and follow us on socials. And that way you can get some of the information so that when we launch it, you are ready. But you will also catch the replays of this on YouTube. So if you're not following us, you won't see it. But you'll have the replays on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube for this episode. But thank you so much, Cassie. Be super treat. And I enjoyed talking to you. I get to drive about an hour as well because it's time to take a 15-year-old to the DMV for her first.
Oh, that's so fun. Enjoy.
So